I'm going to just tell you right now, I'm going to have a lot of energy around this topic because these are the key factors, the strategies that I think that every person, every woman should have in their tool belt using every single day. And I mean that every day, thinking about these principles. Before we jump in, I want to let you know that I'm going to consistently have a group coaching program, a small intimate group that we meet monthly, and we follow some of the really important things that you need to think about as a woman in a corporate environment, from how you're perceived, how you take feedback, how you grow your influence, all things that are so important to all of us. And if you don't have accountability partners, and if you don't have people that see and help you understand the context of what's going on around in your world, then you're missing an opportunity to really accelerate your growth. So if you want to hear more, go to negotiationlove.com. You can go to the website and learn about the cohort that's starting soon. Welcome to How to Get What You Want. This podcast is for driven women ready to claim their goals and navigate their careers with clarity and confidence. Join me as we explore real stories, tools, and strategies to help you steer your career exactly where you want to go. Let's get started on helping you get what you want. Hey friend, I'm Susie. I'm so happy that you made the choice to be here today because today is a topic that I think you need. Now let me reframe it. This is a topic you need to hear. Not that I think you need to hear, that you need to hear. Because these strategies will make a difference for you in everything you do. And then you'll be building muscle, building a negotiator mindset. And I really believe in this. So I want this for you. But before we jump in, I want to let you know that I am going to launch 2 more women cohorts in the coming year. And if you're interested in having a like-minded group that meets on a monthly basis following curriculum that is essential for accelerating career growth, and then you get access to my coaching. And as a friend of mine said, I don't just coach, I tell you what to do. Because I want you to be successful. If you're interested, go to my website, susietomichuk.com, and you can get more information about the dates, the cost, everything that is associated with it. And I'd love to hear from you. You can just reach out to me if you want more information as well. So this topic today, I hear all the time, I know I negotiate every day, but then people start working with me and they go, oh, wow, I negotiate every day. Like this aha, this click that when you see it, you can't unsee it. And you're like, oh, all the opportunities that have been around me that I didn't even know were there because I didn't have access to this additional dimension that are all the things that you need to think about and ask for. So today, I want to talk about 3 strategies that I can't tell you how many women tell me that one of these, and sometimes all of these, have made a difference for them in how they approach situations, giving them the confidence, and made them aware of how they're working against themselves because they were not leveraging these in the right way for them. It's about silence, it's about increasing your ask, and it's about framing. 3 strategies of negotiating that people know, that they use all the time, but what people don't understand is we need to practice them every day to make them so much more of a part of what we do. They're that essential. They make us not just better negotiators, but better leaders, better partners, better humans, even better parents. So when you think about these, it's thinking about a strong frame. It's asking how you can help or asking for what you need. It's practicing silence so that you hear what's on the mind of somebody else. Sometimes you unlock treasures for somebody at the same time you understand more of their perspective so you can reframe to give them what they need. So we're going to talk about silence as your superpower. There's always an ask, big or strong. I want you to start looking for it, whether big or small. And then framing. It determines whether you land the value and making sure that you're super clear and not diluting your message. And so as I was getting ready for this, I was like, tell me about some research. And it was so funny because so much of the research that I've already read about came up as the things that I should mention today. Harvard, their program on negotiation, found that negotiators who use strategic silence create space for others to reveal motivations, concerns, and unexpected solutions. You're giving them the space to tell you what's on their mind. So when you reframe that for yourself and you think about the fact that we feel uncomfortable, so we fill the silence. When we let it linger, we allow somebody else to be heard. That's so powerful. Silence increases perceived credibility and confidence too. And somebody feels really cared for when they feel listened to. Another study published in Organizational Behavior and Human Decision Processes found that women who pause before responding are viewed as more thoughtful and senior. Think about that. More thoughtful and senior. I like to just watch people and see how they use silence. And I'll tell you, when you look at it from that lens as being more thoughtful and senior, you can see it in others. And don't you want that for you? It doesn't feel that way from our inside, but that is how it feels to people that are experiencing us. It's really important to think about, how do I not rush in to fill the silence? Even though it feels uncomfortable, we shouldn't soften or try to explain ourselves. Silence, intentional silence, signals that confidence and creates space. It draws out information that can be leveraged for us too. And it's not like you're getting information that they didn't want to share. You're getting information they did want to share. So silence is really important. I really want you to think about, we listen to the people that we're around the most because we know their cadence. We know what they're going to say. We're used to their answers. So we listen until they're about to stop so that we can jump in. So think about it with the people that you love the most. How do you insert silence? Because if you change your cadence by inserting silence, you're going to change the way they listen to, because they're going to be waiting for you to stop. But if you start practicing silence, they have to speak up. So try it. The next is the ask. A study from Carnegie Mellon found that 7% of women negotiate their initial job offers versus 57% of men. Didn't that just get to you? And I used to think that was old data, but I have been in workshops where I remember this woman that I know is really strong and smart, and she just had this like blank face on. And I was like, she's just not interested in this. Like, she just knows all this. She's checking the box. And I asked her what was on her mind. She like put her head to her forehead and she said, all the times that I haven't asked, I've just never asked. I've just said yes. And that's the time that we're supposed to feel comfortable negotiating. I want to make sure that's really clear. That's for a job offer. 7% of women ask for something other than what they were offered. But the research does show that women negotiate on behalf of others, for their teams, their families, their clients. But for ourselves, we hesitate. So on this, I want you to think about that every time you go in to talk to somebody, what is a small ask? What's a thing that you can ask for? That's what the challenge is going to be today. And the third is framing. Framing. Oh, I have gotten so much feedback on this one about the power of the frame. And I've talked about this before. And Stanford says that when linguistic hedging, like, I might be wrong, but it dramatically reduces how persuasive and influential women are perceived to be. So even in that moment where we're diluting our message, what this study is saying is that when we do this on a regular basis, people get used to the fact that we are diluting our power. We're diluting our power because it sounds good to us. You know what? This also shows up in emails. When you're writing something and you feel bad because it's taking you a long time to respond, or you don't know exactly all the information, be careful what you're framing in. Small disclaimers dilute big value. Small disclaimers dilute big value. So today I'm going to go deeper. I'm going to give you a couple stories about this because women need to master silence, get comfortable with asking, and even do small asks. You don't know where they're going to go. And the frame so that you can shift your identity. You can shift how it feels for you. You can negotiate differently. You can navigate better. You could increase your confidence, your perception. There's so much benefit to all of this. And you can get what you want without forcing it, without apologizing, without shrinking down. We're our own worst enemy because we talk ourselves out of things. But the things that we don't, that these are things that we need to actively do. And there's little tweaks that I want to make you aware of today so that you can start shifting them now. I'll tell you about Emily. And let me just say this. She is brilliant, highly respected, and delivers great results that the team depends on her for. And she fights for them. But every time she asks for something that feels really personal to her, like budget for something she wants to do, visibility, a stretch role, she always starts with, I know budgets are tight, but, or I'm probably not the right person, but I don't have the exact experience, but her asks are strong, but her frame erases that. So what comes after the but is not heard. And you're projecting this perception of yourself that it might not have been an assumption to them. They didn't see that before until you said it. And all of a sudden, like, if you get feedback, here's a good example. If you get feedback and somebody says you're a talker and you just talk too much. If you meet somebody for the first time and you go, I'm a big talker. I like to just go on and on and on. People, I'm really working on that. And then you start doing things. You're telling people how you want to be perceived. It's the same thing when you're diluting something. When you're identifying, I know budgets are tight. It feels like, you know what? I understand the situation and I know. But you know what? That gives that reason to the other person to go, you're right. I wish I could give this to you. Budgets are tight. They can use that against you, but it's information that you don't need to give to them, to signal to them first. Framing in things and framing out is really important to think about. When are you using that in a way that's really powerful for you? On both sides, what do you need to take out and what do you need to put in? How do you frame it with a really strong message? Instead of saying, what are the conditions the other person is facing for them to say no, you want to say, me and the team have done a great job this year, and these are our results. This is why I'm asking for X amount of money. This is why I'm asking for this stretch goal. When you look at it from how I want to sell this to you and you frame that in, that's what's really important. So Emily really learned that she needed to do that. And it was so interesting because people got so used to her just diluting that message that once she stopped doing it, she realized the little things that she wasn't getting because of the dilution. And she started seeing that it became easier. And it felt weird for her at first. But once she started changing the way she framed things in, it changed everything. Marcy's another person that I work with, and she doesn't ever practice silence, especially when she's nervous. And the times that she is most nervous is when she's leading a project that there's a lot of people from all over the company because she feels like, I don't really know what they're all thinking or what they need, and I don't want to waste their time. And so what she does is she just goes on and on and on, and she doesn't give space. And so I observed her, and I watched the room, and I saw that people were almost getting anxious waiting for her to stop so they could jump in. So I told her, take a breath. Count to 2. Start allowing people to have engagement in there. Don't be afraid you're going to lose the microphone. And she started doing that, and she started realizing more engagement. People really feeling comfortable letting their voice be in the room, even with her team. She realized that was happening a lot more than she wasn't paying attention to. So thinking about that silence and putting it in allows the other person to have their voice being heard, their idea being shared. Because what happens, and especially in those meetings when we don't give people space, once we go on to the next thing, it's hard for them to reintroduce something that has already been passed by. And they'll start saying to themselves, oh, you know, that was a few minutes ago. I need to, it's not important now. So it's really important to think about that. And then asking. I realized personally with my peer Dan, who asked for everything. I mean, literally the parking space, the bigger office, the more compensation, the conference, the executive coach, everything. And I just waited until they gave me what they wanted to. And I really understood that, Dan didn't always get the yes, but most of the time he did. So the more he asked, the more he got. And even crazy, like it wasn't appreciated that he asked so much, but it made me see that there are things available in a work environment that if you don't ask, you won't get, because people don't just automatically think, they don't have the sorting time, especially these days, to go, oh, I have this opportunity, or it would be great to have one more person in the room to observe this meeting. Like people don't think that way proactively about the development of others. And secondly, when they have an opportunity or a need that they need somebody to do, they don't go kind of through a sorting that goes, okay, who would be best at this? Who needs this exposure? They normally just go to one who just asked, or they go through and who was the most closest person to them, like who is in the meeting next with them. And then it's just convenient for them to ask. So asking is an art to just see it. And I really think it's important to just ask out of curiosity and just see what happens. Actually, don't always look for a yes. Just ask just to see what happens. And even if you get no, I don't think you should be a part of that meeting. Don't feel like there's no harm, no foul, just walk on. No, I don't think that this is the right time to get promoted. Whatever it is, I'm not saying that just accept that, but don't always look for, I have to have a yes or nothing, because that holds us back from asking. And in fact, there is research around the ask, and I found this today, and I thought it was so great. There's a behavioral science principle known as successive approximation. And it says that small asks increase readiness for big asks. The more you ask, the easier and more natural it becomes. So look for the small ask. That's the thing I really want you to think about today. I'm kind of giving away my tips because I'm getting so excited about this. But those are things that if you don't realize that opportunities are there for you and you don't ask, you just won't even when you ask and somebody might go, oh, Susie always asks, I'll give that to her. Like even asking more makes people realize that you want more. And so then you're kind of on the secret list, if that makes sense. So here's your tips. Here's 3 actionable negotiation strategies for each one of these. So silence is data. It's also power. It leaves an impression of you, confidence, insightfulness, a seniority. But it also, at the other side, it makes people feel heard. It helps you understand what's on the mind of somebody else. So silence is more than just this uncomfortable thing that we're filling. So start small. Ask a question and pause. Ask for something that it goes with the ask. Ask for something that feels a little bit uncomfortable because you've never asked for it before, and pause. Make a point and pause. Pause after somebody asks you a question. See if there's anything else they want to say. When you receive feedback, pause. And even I think what's really funny is people ask me, and I've recognized that awkward silence can only be achieved if you observe it in somebody else, because it is so hard to hold that long. So be a observer of silence. Make it something that you go, today, I am going to pay attention to who practices silence and who doesn't, and how it's used. Silence makes room for truth. It makes people reveal what matters. And it positions you as somebody with confidence and authority. I'm just going to say, this is not awkward silence. Awkward silence is more like 10 to 15 seconds. Try silence 1 to 2 seconds a day, today. It may feel uncomfortable, but just start there. After you say something, before you speak, and give yourself time to think. It's really powerful. Number 2, look for an ask in every situation. Not just for a promotion or a salary conversation. There are micro asks everywhere. Can I have visibility into that meeting? Can you walk me through how you made that decision? I have a client that asked her boss to sit down with her and let her watch how she does the strategy for the next year. Until she asked. She was the only one of her peers that got that access. Can I take the lead on this piece? Can you shift this timeline by 1 day? Can you sponsor me for that opportunity? Can you be my mentor? Can you give me feedback? Think about the ask that you can give today. And yes, it could be self-serving. And just think, it might feel really good to the other person if they can give you something. You know, people like to give when they can. People don't like saying no. So what is the ask that you can do so you can start building that muscle? You can strengthen that ask confidence. And every ask clarifies your value to the organization, because then people see where they need to put you. They understand where you want to go because your asks shape that mold for them. And don't forget, the more you ask, the easier and more natural it becomes. So what is that ask quotient that you're going to increase? And then the last is frame your value and stop diluting it. Start listening to yourself. Look at your language. If you hear yourself saying things like, I don't know if this is helpful, but I'm not that technical, but I know budgets are tight, but I'm not sure if you covered this. But my question is, this is unintentional value language. When you're framing something in because you're kind of feeling nervous or uneasy or you're late to something, hey, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. Just take out some of that language. Start listening to yourself. How do you dilute who you are because you keep coming back to it? Reframe it. Here's a little insight I'd like to add. Here's the value I bring to this conversation. Here's my perspective. Here's the outcome I'm driving toward. You're allowing them to see this is the perspective that I'm framing it toward. Make sure you're framing that in. It's not bragging. It's adding clarity to the conversation. When you're good at framing, you're framing so that the other person knows where you're coming from. And sometimes we frame too much in because we want to show our homework and we want to understand it from their perspective. When those aren't serving you, frame those out. Frame your ideas with confidence. Research shows that you're twice as likely to be heard, supported, and promoted when you're clear about your ask. So listen to your ask as well. How clear are you being in that? You may think you are, but you're not really. So here's the truth I want you to walk away with today. And I saw this thing on Instagram or some study that they had little girls pretend to run like a girl, and they would run so fast. But when you ask a woman to run like a girl, they run, like flapping their arms. I'm going to do this in quotes. Are you negotiating like a woman? And I always hate to do that because I know that there are men that do the same thing. They dilute their value. They don't ask enough. They don't put that out there. But whoever's listening to this, I want you to think about, are you negotiating in a way that is not considering your best interests? Are you diluting your asks before they even hear them? I want you to negotiate like a leader. That's the answer. You need to shift from being it from Susie's voice, from your own feeling not as confident, and think about it as a leader. As an executive leader, you should be thoughtful about your frames. You should ask a lot of questions, ask for more. And you should be thinking about practicing silence. Those are all things that great leaders use. They ask boldly and they understand how to frame powerfully. These are secrets. They're not tricks. This is not manipulative. It's thinking about how do you finesse the way you're showing up. And when you do it in every situation, you increase your confidence to do it again. You're clear about what you're asking. You're taking back your authority. So think about the challenge for this week. How are you going to insert silence intentionally and be an observer of silence? Is that what you're going to do? Or are you going to make one small ask? Or look at an ask in every situation you go into, even the smallest thing. And then listen to the other challenge. Listen to how you're framing things. Be an observer of yourself. Are you diluting your message? Are you making a clear message in your head, but what is being said is not exactly what you meant because you're adding too much to it or you're diluting it? Listen to yourself. You only need one to start shifting how you're perceived. And you know what? It will also change how you perceive yourself. You'll shift because that's why I only want you to focus on one. I don't want it to be overwhelming. I just want you to start and then start getting confident doing it. If this spoke to you, share it with somebody. Share it with somebody that you think needs to hear this. Challenge them. Make an accountability partner because that's the best way to make things stick. Do this in the next 72 hours. If you just listen to this and think, oh, that's great advice, I'll apply it someday. Guess what? It was just an entertaining podcast. You didn't do anything with it. Do one of those 3 things in the next 72 hours. Pay attention to silence. Use silence. Make a small ask. Pay attention to how you're framing things. Are you diluting your message? If you want to learn more about stories I tell and things that I share about adopting the negotiator mindset, head over to negotiationlove.com. I'd love for you to join my email that I send out every week just about stories that happen to me all the time or to my clients. The truth is about this show, this episode, is that women who negotiate confidently, they don't just get what they want, but they change what's possible for them. Becoming a negotiator is really powerful. And it's not just a skill, it's a mindset. Until next time, I can't wait to hear your story. I'm Susie. I'll see you then.